Hello Varlets. As you can tell by the thumbnail, this isn't an ordinary video. As we reach the end of the year, I just wanted to give a channel update for what will lie ahead. No, I'm not quitting YouTube, and no, I'm not quitting Darktide, but it does affect it. Before I get into it, I think it's important that I give some context around the creation of this channel. This whole YouTube thing started as a project because I wanted to not just be a consumer, I also wanted to create something as well. And so in 2023, I started this channel as a project which was going to cover Darktide in ways that I found interesting and fun, which was exploring different mechanics and doing build crafting. This was one of the big goals for the year at the time, which was to do something that is beyond my comfort zone and give it a shot to see what would become of it. 3 years later, with some ups and downs because of real life work, and here we are. 141 videos, largely covering Darktide with some Helldivers sprinkled in for a bit. After all that, I'd say that I did manage to make something out of it, and now as we close the year of 2025, I think I want to do more. I spent the last couple of weeks thinking about the big goal I'm going to set for 2026 for my channel, and I decided that I really want to give being a full-time content creator a fair shot. This would be a pretty big undertaking, but it's something that I knew I would regret if I didn't at least try. So, I would be dedicating my time honing my craft, whether it's my scripts, my editing, my ideas around my videos, and really just trying to produce the best videos that I can while having fun in both playing and creating it. With this big goal set for 2026, this brings me back to Darktide. I'm a little burnt out making content for it. Not because it's a bad game, if anything I think the current iteration of Darktide is the best it has been when you look back at the last 3 years. It's just that, from a build crafting point of view, the core of what makes my channel mine, the game has become kind of stale in that aspect. This all largely ties back to balancing and the lack of enemy variation, which necessarily funnels your actually useful options down into a handful of builds which revolves around the filter of if it ain't got carapace problem solving, it ain't gonna cut it, especially at the higher levels of play. A more personal gripe that I have as a Psyker main is that we haven't had any new staffs in 3 years. We've had the same 4 staffs to play around with, and there has been no change in the variety for Psyker gameplay in this respect. I play Psyker because I want to use space magic to kill things. If I wanted to use guns, I play with the Veteran or Hivescum to satisfy that itch. Without getting sidetracked by the balancing issues that Darktide has, the result of the current state of the game is that I'm not as excited as I was before when it comes to producing content around it. I think at this point, I've pretty much looked at almost all the potential permutations and combinations of weapons and talents that might be workable and interesting. Many of my experiments and tests never see the light of day because if they can't survive my controlled experiments, there's no way it's going to be useful in a real game setting. But when they do survive and have proven to have some use, you end up with videos like this, which were very fun to test and play around with. This brings me to my next point. Darktide pretty much operates on a quarterly update basis, meaning there are set moments throughout the year where there will be something new or something interesting that draws people back into the game, like with the introduction of the Hivescum DLC and Emperor Willing, a new cache of weapons. But this also means that there are pockets of time where there isn't anything new going on. And with how limited the build crafting is in this game, it basically means there's nothing to do or explore once you've already done it. And so for a channel that is centered around build crafting, this is pretty tough to work with. What this ultimately means is that I will still make Darktide videos, provided there's something interesting that changes. It could be from a hotfix, it could be a new DLC, new enemies, new game modes like Chaos Waste. And if we do get a new Psyker weapon, you can bet that I will be making a video on that. I will also still be a creator for Fat Shark, so if they have something new in the works that is coming out and they want me to be a part of it, I am game for sure. So if Darktide is taking a backseat for the channel, what is going to be the primary game in its place? Well, I love build crafting and theory crafting, that much I have made clear. In fact, the more combinations of things that I can tweak, mix and match, the better. Games that I have played in the past which satisfied me in this regard included Destiny 2, which I've sunk 3,200 hours into in the past because it was very fun to fine-tune builds and craft different loadouts to face different challenges, pushing them to the endgame to see how far they could go. But I won't be going back to D2. I lost interest in playing it after completing the Lightfall campaign. Path of Exile 2 was also a very strong consideration. I think when it comes to build crafting, it is definitely one of the most complex and broad systems out there, with its literal constellation of a skill tree that allows you to mix and match in almost any direction, barring a few limitations. Not to mention having the freedom to play around with different weapons, armor pieces, and even mix and match and modify different skills. Right now, I have a meager 271 hours in it, but I clocked up all these hours within a short month and a half since it came out. Not counting all the time I spent reading up on the wiki and browsing the trade websites looking at different pieces of equipment for inspiration. While I really loved the build crafting of Path of Exile 2, the game didn't manage to keep me invested for too long after taking a break from it. Something about the gameplay just didn't stick with me like Darktide or D2 did. I guess things are less exciting when played from an isometric top-down perspective rather than in first or third person. That leaves only one more game which I have considered: Warframe. Warframe is an old game by gaming standards. It's 11 years old now and will be 12 years old in 2026. And yet, it is still one of the best games I have played in my gaming career. I started playing Warframe back in 2014 and played it on and off up until 2019, where I amassed a solid 2,300 hours in it. Back then, I had already gotten well over 90% of the loot and stuff you could want, and then things changed as COVID came about and I left the game to work on real life stuff and played other games, like Darktide. It's been 6 years since I last touched the game, and from what my brother has been telling me about the happenings that have evolved in that time, it's like an entirely new game to me from a build crafting perspective. Without getting into any spoilers, not only could you modify and tweak your Warframe along with its primary, secondary and melee weapon, of which there are literally hundreds and hundreds to choose from, but I've come to learn that weapons can now also evolve into different forms and variations, opening up different ways to play with the same type of weapon. What's more, the new Helmleth Subsume mechanic, this is a thing that didn't exist when I played, allows you to take one predetermined ability from a Warframe and swap it onto another. I thought this was a crazy idea when I first heard of it. Imagine being able to take the Blitz from one class and slap it onto another. An Ogryn with a rocket launcher, anyone? And yet, you can. There's just so much going on in the game right now with the latest update and all, especially in the eyes of someone who has been away for 6 years, that it might as well be a new game to me. And that's where I feel I want to take my channel towards in 2026. I think the next move that is right as my next step for growth and for my own personal enjoyment is to broaden my games from just Warhammer into Warframe as well. While Darktide satisfies the desire for mechanical skill-based expression, Warframe feeds my craving for build crafting and theory crafting in a fast-paced, action-packed setting that isn't too far removed from Darktide. Different games for sure, and with it, different audiences. This shift is likely to upset some or many of you who have subscribed to my channel because of Darktide content, especially if you've just joined because of the Hive Scum DLC. The YouTube algorithm is also going to be upset that I'm changing my game, and it's going to suck pretty bad at the start as I try to re-establish my audience base with Warframe. So if you want to leave the channel behind, I totally get it. I'll be sad to see you go, even if it has only been a short while. But if you are someone who has stuck around since the beginning, through the content droughts and changes in games, then I'll hope you continue to stick around with me on this next chapter of my channel. Your support has been invaluable. If you are someone who happens to like Warframe and likes the work that I do, I would imagine this announcement is great news. I'm excited to bring my own take on how I would approach things in Warframe as I begin the adventure anew with the knowledge I've amassed over the years. I already have so many tables for Warframe being built right now. So the TLDR of this video is as follows. I'm going to try to go full-time as a content creator as part of my big goal for 2026. This will mean opening up new angles of engagement, which includes streaming and community building. As part of this goal setting, I'll be putting Darktide content on hold until there are some interesting changes and updates to the game. I will still be a content creator for Darktide as long as Fat Chunk deems me worthy, and I will cover the major updates and happenings of the game. In place of Darktide, I'll be covering Warframe content because it satisfies my desire for build crafting, and it's a game that continues to grow and one that I already have quite a bit of experience in. Just need to shake off the rust a little bit. There's a lot more that I want to talk about, but I think this video is long enough and has served its purpose, so I'll leave it at that.